Imagine a world without supermarkets, without agriculture, without even the simplest tools. A world where every day was a battle for survival, and finding your next meal could mean the difference between life and death. This was the reality for our early human ancestors millions of years ago. Long before we built civilizations, before we even learned to control fire, our species faced one fundamental challenge that shaped everything we would become: the struggle for food. Today, we journey back through time to explore how early humans survived in a world that was both abundant and unforgiving. We'll discover the ingenious strategies they developed, the dangers they faced, and how the simple quest for food drove the evolution of human intelligence, cooperation, and culture itself. Welcome to a time when survival wasn't guaranteed, and every sunrise brought new challenges. Welcome to life millions of years ago. Let's begin our journey roughly 2 to 3 million years ago in the East African savanna. This is where the story of early human survival truly begins. The landscape was dramatically different from what we see today. Vast grasslands stretched to the horizon, dotted with acacia trees and seasonal rivers. The climate was unpredictable, swinging between wet and dry seasons that could last for years. This was home to our early ancestors, species like Homo habilis and later Homo erectus. But they weren't alone. The African plains teemed with life. Massive herds of ancient elephants, giant buffalo, and early forms of antelope grazed across the savanna. In the shadows lurked predators that would make modern lions seem tame: saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, and leopards that could easily overpower an adult human. For early humans, this world presented an enormous challenge. Unlike the specialized carnivores with their powerful jaws and sharp claws, or the grazing herbivores with their strong digestive systems designed to process tough grasses, humans were caught in the middle. We had no natural weapons, we weren't particularly fast, and our digestive systems were relatively simple. Yet, we had something else. We had brains that were beginning to grow larger, hands that could manipulate objects with precision, and most importantly, we had each other. Social cooperation would become our greatest survival tool. One of the most critical questions anthropologists have debated for decades is this: were early humans primarily hunters or scavengers? The evidence increasingly suggests that scavenging played a crucial role in early human survival. Picture this scene. It's early morning on the African plains. A pride of lions has taken down a zebra during the night and eaten their fill. As the sun rises, they retreat to the shade, leaving behind a carcass still rich with meat and marrow. This is where early humans saw their opportunity. But scavenging wasn't as simple as walking up to an abandoned kill. Vultures circled overhead, hyenas prowled nearby, and the lions might still be watching from a distance. Early humans had to be smart, strategic, and quick. This is where stone tools became revolutionary. Around 2.6 million years ago, early humans began creating simple stone tools called Oldowan tools. These weren't sophisticated by our standards, just rocks deliberately struck to create sharp edges. But they were game changers, quite literally. With these tools, our ancestors could do something no other scavenger could. They could crack open bones to access the nutrient-rich marrow inside. While hyenas fought over scraps of meat and vultures picked at what remained, humans could extract calories that were otherwise inaccessible. Bone marrow is incredibly energy-dense. Packed with fats, it fueled our growing brains. They also used these tools to cut through tough hide and separate meat from bone quickly, before more dangerous scavengers arrived. Speed was essential. Get in, get the food, and get out before becoming food yourself. This scavenging lifestyle required intelligence, planning, and memory. Early humans had to know where predators hunted, understand migration patterns of prey animals, and recognize the signs of recent kills. They had to work together. with some individuals keeping watch while others worked to extract food. While scavenging and later hunting get most of the attention in popular imagination, the truth is that gathering plant foods probably provided the majority of calories for early human groups. Think about the diverse plant resources available: roots, tubers, seeds, nuts, fruits, leaves, and honey. These foods were more predictable than meat, didn't run away, and didn't fight back. An experienced gatherer could provide steady nutrition for their group day after day. Women, children, and elders likely specialized in gathering, developing extensive botanical knowledge passed down through generations. They learned which plants were edible and which were poisonous. They discovered that certain bitter roots became safe to eat after processing. They memorized the locations of productive trees and the seasons when different foods became available. This knowledge was complex and took years to acquire. A successful gatherer needed to understand plant life cycles, remember locations across vast territories, and know dozens of plant species by sight, smell, and taste. In many ways, gathering required as much intelligence as hunting. Digging sticks became some of the earliest tools, used to extract nutrient-rich tubers from deep underground. These roots and tubers were particularly important during dry seasons when other food sources became scarce. They were essentially nature's underground pantries, storing energy that early humans learned to exploit. Recent research has revealed something fascinating. The shift to eating more underground storage organs like tubers may have actually driven human brain evolution. These foods required processing, sharing, and often cooking later on to be fully digestible. They provided the caloric surplus needed to support larger brains, which in turn allowed for more sophisticated food acquisition strategies. The gathering lifestyle also promoted social learning and cultural transmission. Children learned by watching adults, and successful techniques were passed down through generations. This was the beginning of cumulative culture, where each generation could build on the knowledge of the previous one. Life for early humans wasn't just difficult, it was genuinely dangerous. Every day brought risks that could end in death. Predators were a constant threat. Unlike modern humans who sit atop the food chain, our ancestors were very much on the menu. Cave bears, leopards, saber-toothed cats, and hyenas all saw early humans as potential prey. Evidence from fossil skulls shows puncture marks matching leopard teeth, proof that some of our ancestors didn't survive these encounters. Sleeping was a particularly vulnerable time. Without fire for much of early human history, nights were dark and dangerous. Groups likely took turns keeping watch, and may have sought refuge in trees or rocky outcrops where predators couldn't easily reach them. But predators weren't the only danger. Injuries that we'd consider minor today could be fatal. A twisted ankle could leave someone unable to keep up with their group, effectively a death sentence. Infected wounds, broken bones, or illness without any medical knowledge or treatment meant suffering and often death. Droughts brought their own horrors. When water sources dried up, both prey and predators concentrated around the few remaining waterholes. Competition intensified, and starvation became a real possibility. Some evidence suggests that early human groups may have been forced to eat increasingly marginal foods during desperate times, including insects, lizards, and whatever else they could find. Then there was competition with other human groups. Resources were limited, and territories valuable. While we can't know for certain, it's likely that conflicts between groups occurred, especially during times of scarcity. Perhaps most tragically, infant and child mortality was extremely high. Many children didn't survive to adulthood, victims of disease, accidents, or simply the harsh realities of a world without modern medicine or reliable food supplies. Despite these dangers, or perhaps because of them, early humans developed something that became their greatest strength: deep social cooperation. Unlike most other primates who forage individually, early humans worked together in coordinated ways. Food sharing became a fundamental part of human society. When a successful scavenging or hunting expedition brought back more meat than one individual could eat, it was shared throughout the group. This created social bonds and obligations that strengthened community ties. Why share food? From a purely selfish perspective, it seems counterintuitive. But food sharing had several crucial benefits. First, it was insurance. If you shared when you had plenty, others would share with you when you had nothing. Second, it strengthened alliances that were useful for defense and other cooperative activities. Third, it ensured that children, elderly, and nursing mothers received nutrition even when they couldn't procure food themselves. This social cooperation extended to childcare. Human children are uniquely helpless and dependent for an exceptionally long time. Unlike other primates, where mothers alone care for offspring, early humans developed alloparenting, where grandmothers, siblings, and other group members helped raise children. This allowed mothers to spend more time gathering food and enabled them to have children in shorter intervals. Communication became increasingly sophisticated. While we don't know when language first developed, it's clear that coordinating group activities like scavenging, defending territory, and teaching complex skills required some form of communication beyond simple gestures. Even basic proto-language would have provided enormous advantages. Groups also developed territories that they knew intimately. They memorized where water could be found during dry seasons, which trees produced fruit at different times of year, and where animals could be reliably hunted or scavenged. This territorial knowledge was passed down through generations, creating a form of inheritance more valuable than any physical possessions. Evening gatherings around resting places became times for social bonding, teaching, and sharing information. Young people learned hunting and gathering techniques through observation and instruction. Stories may have been shared, although we can only speculate about the nature of early human communication. If we had to point to a single innovation that transformed human survival, it would be the control of fire. Evidence suggests that humans began using fire at least 1 million years ago, and possibly earlier. Fire changed everything. First and most obviously, it provided warmth and protection. A burning fire kept predators at bay throughout the night. For the first time, early humans could sleep relatively safely, knowing that most animals feared the flames. But fire's impact on food acquisition was even more revolutionary. Cooking made many foods more digestible and safer to eat. Tough roots and tubers became soft. Meat became easier to chew and digest. Toxic plants could be rendered safe. Essentially, cooking gave humans access to a much wider range of foods and allowed us to extract more calories and nutrients from everything we ate. Some anthropologists argue that cooking was so important that it actually drove further brain evolution. With more calories available from cooked food and less energy needed for digestion of raw foods, there was an energy surplus that could support even larger brains. Fire also became a social center. Groups gathered around fires in the evening, creating natural opportunities for social bonding, teaching, and cultural transmission. The firelight extended the day, allowing for activities after dark that were previously impossible. Additionally, fire could be used to process tools. Heat treatment made certain types of stone easier to work, allowing for better tool production. In some cases, fire was even used for hunting, driving game into ambushes or clearing vegetation to create better hunting grounds. The control of fire represents a cognitive leap. It requires planning, maintaining a fire continuously, or knowing how to start new fires, and managing a potentially dangerous force. It demonstrates abstract thinking and the ability to harness natural forces for human benefit. As we conclude our journey into the deep past, let's reflect on what the struggle for food meant for early human evolution and what it means for us today. Every challenge our ancestors faced in finding food shaped us in profound ways. The need to find and process diverse food sources drove the evolution of larger brains. The unpredictability of food supplies favored individuals who could plan, remember, and solve problems. The advantages of cooperation led to increasingly sophisticated social structures and eventually to language. Even our bodies bear the marks of this struggle. Our hands evolved to manipulate tools and process food. Our digestive systems adapted to a varied diet that included meat, plants, and eventually cooked foods. Our teeth became smaller as tools and cooking did some of the work they once performed. The food quest also drove technological innovation. From the first simple stone tools to the control of fire, each advancement opened new possibilities and new food sources. Humans became not just survivors, but innovators, constantly finding new ways to extract resources from their environment. Perhaps most importantly, the struggle for food created human culture itself. The need to share knowledge about food sources, processing techniques, and seasonal patterns led to the development of teaching and learning. Groups that could effectively transmit knowledge across generations had enormous advantages over those that couldn't. When we sit down to our meals today, we're the inheritors of millions of years of innovation, struggle, and adaptation. The hunger of our ancestors drove them to develop the intelligence, cooperation, and technological sophistication that eventually led to agriculture, civilization, and the modern world. The next time you easily obtain food from a grocery store or restaurant, take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary journey that brought us here. Our ancestors spent countless hours each day in a struggle to find enough calories to survive. Their persistence, creativity, and cooperation against overwhelming odds made us who we are today. The struggle for food in prehistoric times wasn't just about filling stomachs. It was about the birth of human intelligence, the formation of social bonds, and the development of culture itself. In the quest for survival, early humans didn't just find food, they found themselves. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the deep past, to a time when every meal was an achievement, and survival itself was never guaranteed.